G'day, guys. Welcome back to Stat Chat Sports for another Premier League podcast here with Steve and Tazza. Now, Tazza, quick apologies to be given to the listeners for lack of a video on the weekend. Some things came up and we were busy and we were unable to record one of these for the midweek games and the weekend's games. So apologies for that. We had no point in going too far back for the midweek games. This hit and miss is just going to be on the weekend's games, and then of course we're going to look forward to this coming weekend's game as well. So we apologise for that. It happens. We do have lives outside of this, but we try to bring as much of the content as possible. But sometimes it'll happen. So we apologise for that. But let's jump straight into it. We're looking at the hiss. We're looking at the hit and the miss. Excuse the tongue twister. The hit. I think we've given these guys a bit of not hate, but a fair bit of spotlight under the miss. But they've put together a few results, and they're finding themselves now outside the relegation zone. Leicester City are the hit this week.
Yeah, I mean, we put Brendan Rodgers under the microscope and said, "Is he the guy? Is he the guy to lead this team?" And I mean, the consensus for us was that he probably wasn't. And look, this is what happens if you stick fat. It's generally, well, not generally, but these things can happen. And I mean, we've seen what Brendan Rodgers can do with this team. He has done good stuff with this team, but finally he's got him back on the right track. 3 wins in the last 5 games, albeit all those 3 wins coming against teams that are currently in the relegation zone. But to get out, you've really got to beat the teams around you. So, full credit to them. They're on the way back, and geez, that James Maddison in that game. There's just he's a class player. I mean, I love to watch him. He had that well-taken goal. It was a beautiful touch. Sort of just manoeuvred his way through. Say manoeuvred, but the way he handled the ball and that little finish from Dart in the bottom corner was a sight to see.
Yeah, it'd be scary to think where Leicester would be without him in this season. I think he's carried them through just about every game, even the games that they've lost. He's been the star player for them. But I think Yuri Tielemans takes a spotlight this game. That might be goal of the year, goal of the season, right there. That was a thunderbolt. We've seen him do it a couple of times now. Yuri, he can hit him.
He's got form, 100% in doing that. Yep.
Yeah, he's got the technique. He can absolutely hit them. But look, and it's good to see like 4 goals too, 4 different goal scorers. Jamie Vardy back on the score sheet as well. It wasn't just the case of a sort of 1 goal snatch and grab, albeit it was a bit of a FIFA result in terms of stats. I think Wolves had 21 attempts, but only 6 on target, with Leicester having 4 on target and scoring all 4. But that was the clinical sense that Leicester were in on that day, and Wolves were just kind of missing that killer edge and a couple of saves from Danny Ward and the Leicester goal as well. But I'd say, based on the fact, it was definitely deserved by Leicester, and that should give them plenty of confidence to carry on. I mean, they've got City in their next game, so that's a challenge in its own right. But in saying that, Leicester, we've seen them put up some good performances against City in recent years. They've managed to put City under a little bit of pressure. Although it is at home to the King Power, so anything's possible. But we'll have to wait and see on that one. But yeah, a full deserved 3 points for Leicester this week.
Yeah, anything's possible, but City. So it's definitely a mountain to climb. But yeah, this game's going to be one that Jose Sar's probably going to want back. I mean, we've sung his praises a lot, and yeah, this one. I mean, you face 5 shots and let 4 of them in. It's not a great day, and yeah, I mean, but the other side of the field didn't get it done either. The attack was toothless, like you said. So it was a failure all around for Wolves. But But yeah, full credit to Leicester for getting the 3 points.
Okay, it's time to look at the miss, and we're heading to Leeds for the miss this week. We had them down as relegation candidates for the season, and their start to the season made us have a little bit of egg on the face. 2 wins from their first 3 games, and a draw in there as well. Unbeaten after 3. They were looking pretty good, but their form since then, not a single win since those first 3 games, and they've since just plummeted and continued to plummet, and are currently sitting 18th, and a 3-2 loss to Fulham at the weekend gives them the miss.
Yeah, four losses on the trot makes a pretty terrible reading. This game, it felt like it could have been just a goals bazaar. It was just unreal. The amount of chances. I remember just thinking, like, how? I think it was 1-1 at the point. It might have been 60th minute or something. I thought, how is this still 1-1? There were just chances everywhere. I mean, Pereira being denied by Melier. I just thought there were so many decent chances. But yeah, Leeds, they're just plummeting. It's not good to see. Jesse Marsh has got he's got a lot to do with that team. It's pretty shit. Well, sorry, it's pretty terrible watching.
And having had the lead as well, Rodriguez put him ahead. And they didn't play too bad. Like, I can't go too hard on them. Like, there was absolutely chances there, but just not clinical enough. Like, Bamford missed a couple, and it was, they're the guys that you'd want the chance to fall to, because they're your main guys. And these are clear cut chances that they're just not converting, and this is what's obviously hurting them in these games.
Yeah. I mean, the one solace for Leeds, as we saw on the weekend, Nottingham Forest getting the win over Liverpool. Who do Leeds have next? Liverpool.
Yeah,
it's probably not bad if you want a team to beat at the moment, to cause an upset win. You want to be coming up against Liverpool, so not a bad time to have them. But look, it's either way. It makes for a terrible reading.
Is Jesse Marsh in trouble?
Not yet. I don't think. I say not yet. There's 4 losses in a row, but I think he deserves a little bit more time. I think I've seen what they're not playing awful. Like you said, the chances are being created and they're just not finishing. I don't think they're devoid of all talent and devoid of all hope. I think he gets a little bit longer. As we mentioned, you stick fat with your manager through tough times, like Leicester did with Brendan Rodgers, and things can be turned around. Rodgers probably had more credits in the bank than Marsh does, but I think they'll stick with him for a little while. But his time is, well, it's not coming to an end, but it's definitely running out.
Yeah, and they're probably the worst looking at their form line at the moment. It makes for the worst reading, especially with 4 losses in a row. At least the other 2 currently in relegation have a win under their belt in the last 5. So, they're going to want to start picking up some points somewhere. Otherwise, we saw how ruthless Leeds were with Bielsa. I can't see them, being too kind to Jesse Marsh if things like this continue. So, yes, he got him out of relegation last year in dramatic fashion, but the job was to keep him out of there this season, and so far that's not the case. What are they at the moment? Two points out of the zone. So if that gets any further away, it's only going to be harder for him to get out. So I think it's a bit of a watch this space. We'll see what happens in the next couple of weeks, and if they continue to drift further from the pack, I think it's where we might see a change of at the helm. I kind of think the same for the other 2 that are at the bottom as well. They're all on the same points. They're all in the same boat, and it's getting to the point in the season now where the bottom sort of the bottom pack and that sort of lower mid tier are starting to bridge a bit of a gap. So they don't want that gap getting too big, because it just makes the job more difficult for him to come back. So I think for the manager of all three sides in the relegation at the moment, all three of them would be sweating a little bit.
Yeah, you look at 15th, 16th, and 17th, Villa, Southampton, and Leicester. Leicester have turned things around pretty comprehensively. Villa 4-0 on the weekend, so they got that. They're probably going to get that new manager bounce, as everyone likes to talk about.
Yeah.
So that pack is almost, you can see things turning around for those two. Whereas Nottingham, I mean, yes, they won on the weekend, but it was credit to them and credit to, there were a few performances in that we'll probably highlight a little bit later. But yeah, there's a reason they've won 2 this season, and that's on the back of some pretty poor form. And last week's win was probably based on Liverpool just putting in a terrible, terrible shift. But Wolves can't buy a goal either.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're struggling just as much. So starting to see a little bit of a breakaway between this relegation zone. So something's got to change quick.
Alrighty, Tazza, it's your time to shine, mate. The star and the dunce of the week. Where are we looking this week?
As we mentioned, Nottingham Forest, a big win, huge win to keep themselves within. I mean, we're early days in the season, but they are sitting at 20th spot. So everything needs to go. Well, not everything needs to go their way, but they need to start putting points on the board. And to do it against Liverpool was huge. And that is mainly down to one man, Dean Henderson. He was just immense. 7 saves, I think, for the day, and some pretty crucial ones, especially at the death on Virgil, who was completely unmarked. Free header. He could have put that anywhere. Should have put that anywhere, and a good save. Don't get me wrong, but he should have put that out of sight of Henderson. Did well to save, but that wasn't the only highlight for him. There were plenty of thwarted chances that he was able to get his hands on, and yeah, I think he's fully deserving of the star of the week.
Yeah, I 100% agree. The 3 points come down to him at the end of the day. That save clinched it for him. They get the solitary point. Otherwise, there's no doubt about it. And you're talking about a guy who has probably been through it tough, I'd say, in the last few years of his career. Obviously, he sort of broke out when he was on loan at Sheffield United, and spent last season at United, Manchester United, that is, where he was essentially promised to be the number one goalkeeper after De Gea, and then was completely shunned and essentially told him to stick it, and he's moved on. And yes, Nottingham Forest are sitting bottom, and whenever that happens to his side, fingers can be pointed at goalkeepers and stuff like that. But there's no doubt there's been performances this season where Dean Henderson has kept Nottingham Forest in games or whatnot, and this was a prime example here.
Yeah, this isn't the first time that we've said that Dean Henderson's won a game off his own gloves. It just isn't. He's shown it over the last couple of seasons, as you said. And I mean, United are just gonna have to sit and take a good look, and they've got a huge asset here, and they really either need to cash in or they need to give him the time that he deserves. And I think they really. I mean, he's still young. He's still got plenty of years in the system. De Gea's been there for a long time and has been up and down. Yeah, I mean, United aren't exactly terrible at the moment, so it's hard to make it too many wholesale changes at this point. But they do have a star on their hands in Henderson, so I'd like to see him get some more major minutes for a major team.
Does he have a potential claim for the England number one spot? Or is that maybe too much of a stretch?
No, I think he does. He's definitely put in. I mean, it's hard. Imagine what he could do for a team that's got a better defense in front of it. I mean, it's hard to look at Nottingham Forest. I wouldn't look too much at Nottingham Forest record as a reflection on Henderson. I think that's not the right way to go about it. And if you isolate his performances and what he's done for his team in winning them games off his own gloves, then I can't see why not. Put a half decent team in front of him, and he will properly flourish. Saying that, I mean Pickford's hasn't done a hell of a lot wrong either. So yeah, he has a claim, but I mean I wouldn't expect him to walk up into the spot anytime soon. The dunce this week. Oh, I mean, it was hard to pick. I went through the fixtures and thought no one really stood out that played this week. Then I thought about who didn't play this week and why didn't they play this week. Cristiano Ronaldo, sir, you are the dunce this week. You're not the man you were once. It's just things have changed. You're not the center of attention. You are, I think you're 37. It's about time you just took stock and thought about the team rather than yourself for once. You don't need to be the center of attention and don't strop when you're not. That's why you're the dunce. You were rightly dropped from the squad because of your childish antics. So, dunce. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And I mean, for anyone that isn't aware of the exact moment we're talking about, it was against Spurs when he essentially just walked off down the tunnel after the final sub was made, and he realised he wasn't being brought on. He spat the dummy, walked away, walked down the tunnel, didn't see out the end of the game. So that's 100% deserved. We've seen since Ten Hag's come into the United setup that, he's made a couple of big decisions and left Ronaldo out of the squad, or he's been on the bench, or, he's not made appearances in some games. And ever since then, this has kind of been brewing. And, we've seen these sort of little hissy fits from Ronaldo. He wasn't allowed to leave in the summer, which I think it was pretty obvious that he did want to go. And then this might have been the final straw that broke the camel's back. I think he was essentially what's the word I'm looking for? He was dropped basically, completely out of the squad for Chelsea. And it's since come out that rumored, I'm not too sure, that the United are basically going to let him go in January if a suitor comes along for him, because they've had enough. They don't feel like they need him anymore. Which this is what I think United needed in the way of Ten Hag. They needed a manager to come in and stamp the authority. Too many players over recent years in that dressing room has just sort of walked all over the hierarchy of the club in terms of the coaches. But Ten Hag's not backing down. He doesn't care who it is. We're talking about one of the greatest to ever play the game. He doesn't care. He doesn't care if you're not in his setup. You're not going to play. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, we've spoken so many times about egos and divas in that Manchester United squad. Paul Pogba for one, Cristiano Ronaldo for two, and he's just credit to Ten Hag because he's just come in and said, "Look, we're above that. We're above this. We don't need the antics. We don't need, yes, you're talented players without a doubt, world class players, but the team is better than that and bigger than that, and it's showing. They're bringing in guys that want to play for the team, that want to work for the team, and I mean, credit to them. It's not going to instantly translate into Premier League winning stats and results, but they're working on a project, and quite clearly Ronaldo isn't part of that project, and nor should he be. He is 37 years old. He's definitely playing better than most 37-year-olds would when he's actually on the pitch, but they need to look forward. They need to look to the future of this team. Will he be in the next title winning team? No, he won't. So he's going to have to be shipped out, and I think with that, a lot of the attention, a lot of the drama, and you won't get that bad PR, the negative um, the negative the negative PR that follows certain events like that. So it's a good result for United.
Yeah, and I think you mentioned there that he's 37, and I mean, who else that's 37 is still playing at the highest of their level? You know, I think most players that'd be still playing at around that age bracket. And they know that they're not the talisman and the spearhead of their side, and that they need to be playing, you know, every minute of every game, because, you know, they're not stupid. They know in their mind that their time's come to an end and that they need to move on. But that just doesn't seem to be the case for Ronaldo. He you know, it's, you know, I know people are going to come in and say, you know, it's his elite mentality and all this sort of stuff, you know, and he probably can go for another couple of years at the highest levels, but it's not going to happen at United. And you know, I think he probably knows that now. You know, that's probably why you know, I mean, that is why he wanted to go in the summer, because, you know, there were shades of this in preseason and you know, early in the season too, when he wasn't playing. So, you know, that's why he tried to force his way out so he could play regularly. But, you know, the fact of the matter is, it doesn't matter who you are. You don't have a sook like that at your home ground in front of all your fans. You know, I don't know how many people fit into Old Trafford, but, you know, 60, 70,000 fans who come to the games, you know, to see you, and you've just chucked a hissy and walked down the tunnel because you didn't get on the park. You know, you're part of the team just like everybody else. So you hang around and you support your teammates. But yeah, no. If bridges weren't broken before, they well and truly are now. So it's just a case of who comes in for him in January. But he's absolutely out of that side. Might not even be surprised if he doesn't play. And maybe that might be a little bit of a stretch. It's Ronaldo. He's going to play here and there, but the numbers are very limited until January, I reckon.
You'd think after a 20-year career, you'd think that you'd learn that it's probably not the best thing to do, to jump up and down, have a hissy fit, and you'd think you'd be old enough to know that that's not a good thing to do. But look, he hasn't, and he's going to learn. He's going to have to.
Well, absolutely deserved stars and dunces of the week for this one, but that's going to wrap it up for this video. Thanks again for watching and tuning in. Again, apologies for missing the last one, but hopefully we've made it up in this one. We'll always aim to bring out every single week's games if possible. But yeah, thanks for watching us, and we'll see you in the next one.